Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another day of Charmed Chats and Happily Ever After Sprints. This is a full month of going over and meeting fantasy romance authors and going over some of their works, talking about writing, playing some games, and spending time in a writing sprint. I'm Shannon. I write under the pen name of SC Huston, and you're here on my YouTube channel where I publish content about my writing, self-publishing, and do weekly writing sprints. I hear an echo. Hold on. Okay, that was me. Okay. All right, I muted it. I'm also part of the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks podcast with Ben Pig from Running to Write and Morgan Lee, and I'm also the founder and conference chair of the AuthorTube Writing Conference heading into its third year. We did just send out the first round of acceptances for the applications, and we'll have some more rounds go out later this week. So if you applied, look out for those. Over the next 2 weeks, we should be touching base with everybody. Besides what I do here on YouTube, I'm also a fantasy, romance, and YA fantasy author with a passion about writing about broken characters who face adversity to become better versions of themselves. And there may or may not be dragons, but there's always love to find. And if you can't tell, I'm like super nervous because I am super excited. This is one of my favorite authors. I'm happy on all month, and I'm just getting, I don't usually get this nervous live, but definitely getting nervous now. But we do have an author on, Emma Alisyn, or Alisyn Fae. I think we'll talk a little bit about the different pen names there, but let me read her bio. So Emma Alisyn is a 40 mumble black white American Muslim mother of 5, author, sci-fi fan, and dark fantasy romance. Her Princess, Lords, and Warriors will most interest readers who like their males immoral, protective, and possessive. Their heroines, sly, brainy, too grown to give an F, and over the age of 30. Her stories feature men, women, and lords of diverse backgrounds. Love is love, no matter race, species, orientation, or gender. So welcome to my channel, Emma. Please take a moment to introduce yourself and add anything else that you might want to add to
that. You know, I'm a huge introvert, so whenever someone asks me to talk about myself, I'm like, deflect. That pretty much sums it up. I've been writing for about, well, I've been writing my whole life, but I've been indie publishing for about 8 years now. And that's been a ride, a wild ride. But
so you were during the golden age of publishing then? Uh-oh.
I came in at the end of 2016, or was it 2015?
Oh,
the years.
Oh, well, yeah, that was.
So I just missed the peak of the gold rush.
Yeah.
But it was before KU started blowing up. You know, the good old days where you can, if they just read 10%. I came in during that time. So. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's when my girlfriend in college started publishing too, and she was selling quite a bit back then compared to now. So we're going to move into the question and answer period here in just a moment. I want to say hello to everyone who's come and shown up in the chat. And then if you guys have any questions for the author, you could drop them at any time. If you remember, put a Q in front of it. That way I can identify it. Even though we are about to head into the question and answer period, you can ask questions anytime throughout the entire live. We will answer them for you. And Mom Maggie was the first one here. Hello. Good morning, lovelies. And then Emma stopped by. Hello. RC Scott. All the emojis. Howdy. And I did put Emma's website. It's pinned at the top of the chat. So if you want to go check that out, you can find it there. And then Richard, hello, Disco Inferno. Glad to be here. Awesome. And everyone's saying hello, hello. Hello, Katie. How are you doing? Here we go. Yep. Kiko, hello. Just booping the like button. Thank you. I appreciate that. Eva, hello. Hi, Lady N and Emma. These are nicknames in the community. So, and then hellos, more hellos. Okay, I think I'll throw all the hellos. Oh, hello, Green Ruled. How are you? And we'll go into the first question. So the first question I've asked the authors all month is, what drew you to write in the fantasy romance genre?
Well, I grew up reading a lot of epic fantasy and a lot of romance. So Terry Goodkind, David Eddings, and Johanna Lindsay, but also like Anne McCaffrey, Robin McKinley, Patricia C. Reed. So I was a lifelong reader. And And fantasy romance is always just kind of the one you do from the heart. So I started writing that a couple of years ago because I'm like, hey, I I love my aliens and I love my shifters, but my heart was in swords and sorcery.
Yeah, and fantasy romance has been around for a while, but as a genre, it really was identified into a few years ago. So I'm really loving that it has been like something that people recognize now.
Yeah,
Are you?
it's funny on social media, or you'll see blog posts where they're saying romantasy or fantasy romance is a new niche. And I'm like, but I've been reading variations of it my whole life.
Yeah,
It's not new.
yeah. I think there's a
It's
bit of a
new to
lag.
y'all, young folks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there is. I'm trying to keep up though.
yeah. No worries. I just wanted to bring that to the forefront just in case. We might talk over each other a couple times by accident. So. All right. So the book, which I reached out to you directly because I had just read this book back in January, Lord of Dance and Desire. I really loved it. And I was like, I want to reach out to her, see if she would come on Charm Chats. And I didn't do it for a while because I was like, she's probably busy. I'm not going to bother her. And then I finally did. But yeah, can you tell us a little bit about this book?
Well, it's really my first passion project. So it's probably longer than it needed to be.
That
But
was fun.
well, no. Fae Prince of Everin really was my first passion project, but this one is my first standalone passion project. And I just really like the idea of a female main character um, who's dealing with chronic illness, um, but still trying to persevere past that and follow her dreams. And I thought it was really interesting that she left her home and her family. She had a large, tight knit family, and she had the courage to like cross realms and go pursue her dream on her own, despite not being the traditional body type, despite having some health issues she was dealing with. And I just really liked that about her because we're told so many times as people and as women what you can't do, or people are a little more politically correct these days sometimes, I guess. They'll be like, well, this is all the difficulties involved. I'm like, no, like you're not too old to start dancing. And she started dancing when she was older, or you're not too old to follow your dreams. And, but I was kind of exploring that with Hasana.
Yeah, and I think that was set up really well because you do get this idea that even though she's dealing with these things, she has the courage, she has the independence to go after it, which is her independence is one thing that is like really like trod on throughout the book when it comes to the Fae High Lord. So it's something she's constantly dealing with. And she's like, okay, I don't belong to this world. If I go back to the human world, I would not stand for this. But here I am. I came here on my own and I did this with a purpose. So I have to kind of follow with this, but she doesn't give up that independent spirit. So I really love that about the main character.
Yeah, that. It's always interesting writing for me, writing in my Fae worlds, because I like the concept of immortality and what people would be like if they lived for thousands of years. And I don't think, on one hand, you could have people who become very evolved and I don't know if righteous is the right word, but very evolved and I'm a writer and I can't think of the words.
That's okay. We forget words all the time on this channel.
Yeah, so you'll have the good side, and then you'll have the other people who completely just
become apathetic.
And become apathetic and get entrenched in their power. And I'm like, I think the society I'm writing in is kind of leaning on the darker side, where they're used to having things their own way. So when the human comes in, she's like, wait a minute. She's not just fighting the character, she's fighting an entire
society
system. Yeah. So
we've had a couple other people come in. Good morning. Hello. And that's actually my hubby. He did come up with a question for you. He said, what is your current inspiration and how has it driven you?
All of my characters in some aspect are dealing with regular life problems. I write a lot of moms, a lot of single moms. I hate to say my life is my inspiration because my life is boring, but I mean, you can look around in the world and kind of we're all affected by media and what's going on. So I think I started writing darker during the pandemic.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because and during the Me Too movement, where we're really thinking a lot about consent issues, and in my morally gray world, there's a lot of balancing consent issues because you have really powerful people who are used to getting what they want, and then you have, on the other hand, well, no, you can't just take things from people. So that's interesting.
And that is something that is kind of in this book as well, that those consent issues. And in a way, I don't think it was ever like, it was not explicitly stated. I don't think I got a chance to tell you, I'm a bit tone deaf, so I don't always hear sounds the way they're supposed to be. So I don't say words the way they're supposed to be said sometimes. Yeah. So just put that out there. But you know, Hasana is dealing with, of course, consent issues when it comes to is it Andre? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. When it comes to Andre, you know, there's that, especially one moment in the book. But then when you find out later, spoilers, that she has her kind of own power that she didn't know she had. In a way, she's taking away other people's consent when they fall under her power. And that's not explicit in the book, but that is an underlying theme all throughout the book. So
that might be one of my weaknesses as a writer. There's a lot in my head that I don't know if I pull out quite enough, but that was one of the complications. Is she's descended from a succubus that's way back. So she has kind of that natural allure and power, and she can kind of, if she focuses, so in the book it's like, well, how much of this is her inadvertently influencing people, and then when she does it on purpose, yeah, she's becoming the monster that she's fighting against. But that's also another thing with a lot of my heroines. They're not sweet either.
I liked her. I thought she was a good character. I really love that independent spirit, even though she's in this world and she's trying to make her way, and she's, you know, like, you know, she's dealing with life issues that she has. So yeah, I really loved her. So Mama Maggie says, aliens and magic could be sword and planted. I write S&P without the damsels. And then Rachel, hello, morning lovelies. Hope we're having a glorious day. The thing is, as writers, we used all of our good words in writing, so we did not talk good like others. My life is boring mood. Yeah, I always say that. I'm like, when people say, do you put yourself in your characters? I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit me in all my characters, but they can't be me because I'm too boring.
Yeah.
Complacent.
Readers, I'm a mom with a laptop, y'all. That's it.
Yeah. So Mom Maggie was offering the word complacent possibly for when we're talking about apathy, the other side having too much power and being alive for a really long time. Succubus. Oh, Rachel loves to ask all my authors this question. I think it's a great question, but it is kind of hard because what's the hardest part of your favorite book to write? So first, you have to figure out what's your favorite book, and then what was the hardest part?
My favorite book that I wrote is Lord of Dance and Desire. You know, there's always, I call my writer the scribe, and I talk of them in the third person because there's always this push and pull between, and only writers understand this, how there's this push and pull between you and the characters. They're telling you, no, this is the way stuff is, and you're like, are you sure? Because I don't think that's gonna go over well. So I really think the hardest part is just accepting that they are who they are, their world is as it is, and allow them to reveal it to you over time. And it sounds so woo-woo, but y'all get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yes. Yeah, my most recent book that I finished, it was for my Kickstarter backer, so it's not on retailer websites. I wrote the story and then I stopped halfway through, and I'm like, and I told my Kickstarter backers they'd have it in November, but I was like, I don't think they're going to like this story because this doesn't seem like it's right, but this is the story that has to be told. So yeah, I had to go back and forth with myself and just finally write their story.
Just like me, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do kind of cringe. I'm like, what if they don't like it? So, Adega, hello. Thank you for coming. Another question. How do you approach balancing internal and external romantic conflict without sacrificing the pace and tone? That's a good question.
Well, on a technical side, I dictate, and my first drafts are word vomit. I do a lot of the refining of pacing and tone and conflict in the layers. Because a lot of times the internal external conflict really, I'm also a plantser, so I'll have a general idea, but not much. So it evolves over time. So I'll go back in multiple passes as the characters are like this, and this. And that stuff kind of resolves over time. It's fun whenever I'm about to release a book, one of my orc books, and I wanted it to be done. And my strengths were like, no, it needs one more pass. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do one more pass. And they were like, do the pass.
Yeah.
And I started the pass and they were right, as usual.
So we were talking about Becca's time in the back end here in the studio, and I really love what because I'm also what you would call a pantser, but I love what she talks about intuitive writers because I'm like that's me.
Yeah.
So hashtag pantser tribe, chaos goblins. Yes. All right. My next question for you is, what was your inspiration for writing Lord of Dance and Desire? I mean, I guess you kind of talked about it a little bit, but you want to represent a woman who is a little bit older, learning to dance at later in life, dealing with health issues. Was there?
I watched the movie Black Swan, and I really
liked yes.
I call Lord of Dance Black Swan meets the Dark Fae High Court, so there's aspects of that in it. But I really just wanted to be in the head of a ballerina, and see what that was like, and. Because sometimes we write characters that we want to experience their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. I did that. And I think that was something I mentioned when I reached out to you is that I really love the level of detail that you gave to Hasana's love for ballet and like just everything that she did in her dance. And I mean, so I had to ask if this was something you did or if you just did a lot of research.
Well, this was the book where I realized that YouTube is your friend. I did do a lot of what I call visual research, just looking up on YouTube various ballet companies that will post their practices, their rehearsal sessions, and just poring over the videos to learn the verbiage, to look at how they move, what the set looks, what, their studios look like. So I did a lot of that. And then because I wanted first person accounts, I went through a lot of Reddit and like personal blogs. Because, all industries have places where they'll chat, business chat. So I went and haunted a couple of those to get more verbiage and kind of like, okay, what are these things like? Because like if somebody wanted to know what it's like to be an author, they would come to, I don't know, 20 books to 50K or our different places and kind of peek at what we talk about, things like that, our challenges. So that's kind of how I approached it.
Okay. So I really love that. I love that idea, going to YouTube, especially if you're looking at how-to stuff. I mean, that you do get the technical down. And when you were saying that at first, I was like, yeah, but you did so well. That was just not the technical, but it was like her feelings, her emotions that were involved with her movements. And just like, I was like, it just felt like you really knew like how a dancer would feel in that moment. So I guess that maybe the Reddit really helped with that too, but also probably just your skill as a writer. I really love that.
She's an artist and we're an artist, so you just have to really think about how do you feel when you're of joy when you're writing. I mean, it's the same thing.
It's like the flow.
Hopefully we have joy.
So, you do have 2 other books coming out in this series, which is called The Fae Court of, I don't know if am I saying it right, Casacrane?
Casacrane, yes.
Okay, The Fae Court of Casacrane. Can you tell us about your plans for the series? And it looks like the next one's, they're different couples, which I think, I don't know how you say his name, Ashlyn. The next book is.
Yeah, Ashlyn. Funny thing is, and this is how intuitive writing works. So the book I'm actually working on now in this series is Andrean's grandparents, and it's halfway done, and I have the cover, and it's gorgeous. It was not planned. I just got these characters in my head about a month and a half ago, and the story took off. So that's coming next, and that'll be in the next month or 2.
Okay. So does that go back in time?
Yeah, it's dealing with his grandparents, and I think it sets a little bit more of the world explains his mother a little bit more. She's not in the book, but by knowing her parents and where they come from, you can maybe see of his mother. But yeah, so that's coming next. What was going to be the second book is in progress, and then the third book is halfway done, because that's how I roll.
Yeah,
everything's in stages, and I have to stop telling my readers when stuff is coming, because I'm always an inadvertent liar.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, the story that was due to my Kickstarter backers, what it was an alternate point of view story of another romance happening in the background of the main book that they bought. And I was only going to do it if we hit a certain marker in the Kickstarter, and we did. We raised that. We got to that goal, and so it was supposed to be a short story. By January, I was calling it my not short story, because it ended up being 72,000 words. So.
And it's funny, the one I'm working on now, Lord of Battle and Blossoms, with his grandparents, it was actually originally supposed to be like a 15K short for a collab I'm doing.
Yeah.
But then I was like, this will be 15K, boo. And then it kept going. I'm like, okay. So I pulled it from the collab. I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to have to. I don't know what I was thinking.
Joys of being a pantser, discovery writer.
I know.
Intuitive writer. So, yeah, my not short story. Yes, same. Yes, Rachel writes really, really long. So, all right. So, we're coming down to the last couple of questions I like to ask all my authors. Who is your favorite fantasy romance author?
Well, and she's probably technically not a romance author, but my favorite all-time she's fantasy romance to me, is Michelle Segarra West. Michelle Segarra. That's my girl, ride or die. I have no, there's just some authors where you internalize their work to a degree that characters become real to you. So she would be the one for me. And then Anne Bishop, Grace Draven, Laura Thalassa. She's been growing on me. Laura Thalassa has been growing on me.
Okay.
And I'm sure there are others, but those are off the top of my head. N.K. Jemisin. I'm not quite sure if she's fantasy romance. I guess she would be considered like futuristic fantasy romance. N.K. Jemisin. Yeah.
I haven't read her. It sounds familiar. The name sounds familiar. But
yeah.
I totally missed this comment. Sorry, Leslie. Good morning. Beautiful cover and title. Yeah, my motto, it takes as long as it needs to take before it's finished, of course. Yeah. All right, so what is your...
Yeah.
I think it lagged there for a second. Okay, well, what is your favorite fantasy or romance trope, and why?
I was about to say enemies to lovers, then I'm like, wait a minute, but you always write the heroine who comes into power that she didn't know she had. So I think that's probably my secret favorite one. Like the idea that you think you're just an everyday gal. And then all of a sudden something happens and you're not. But I think the interesting about that is because you were raised as an everyday gal, you have a more naturally compassionate or empathetic maybe perception of how that power should be used. And I think that struggle is interesting. Again, the struggle between using your power compassionately and empathetically and responsibly versus someone who grew up with it and is used to just taking what they want and getting away with it because society says you can. So that's one of my favorite struggles between my characters.
Okay. Maybe you like to read enemies to lovers. Maybe that's your favorite trope to read, if it draws you.
Yeah, I think it is. That's my favorite trope to read, yeah.
Question, how much world building do you do after you finish the discovery draft?
The world building evolves the same way my stories evolve. I'll do a little bit at the beginning, just enough to set the scene in my mind, because problems are usually evolve out of, the culture you're in, the society you're in. So you've got to know a little bit about that. But a lot of it evolves as I'm writing the draft. And then I'm going back and realizing, well, if such and so, then such and so, and making connections. But sometimes you have to write.
Uh-oh.
I'll be 3 books in, and then I'll still go back to book 1 and be like, oh, that's why. So thank God we're indies and we can update our published material.
Yes. Of course. Yes. I love that. Especially because like my debut was in my fantasy trilogy. And I'm like, I'm so much of a better writer now. One of these days I'm going to go and update that. So yeah, totally understand that. So I think Mom Mag's asking if that was like the chosen one trope when you were talking about, yeah.
Okay. Chosen one coming into power. Yeah. Those are my favorites. Yeah.
Hello, Joanne. How are you doing? Hope everyone's well. People saying hello. Oh, what advice do you have for writers and authors who are going through revisions for their book?
Don't become an alcoholic.
Love that answer.
I'm very intuitive, and I'm also number 11 intellection. So my advice comes from that perspective. Sometimes you need to stop and let your mind process what you've written. It doesn't have to be conscious in the forefront of your mind, because we've all had those moments in the shower where, you know, a solution or an answer just came to us. So my advice is always going to be, don't underestimate the value of taking breaks and letting your mind just wander and process and relax. Because a lot of this stuff goes on in our subconscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you listen, because Becca Simon's got a whole series on intuitive writing on her YouTube channel. It's probably on her podcast too. But if you go through that whole series, she mentions the same thing. There's just so much that's happening in our subconscious that we're trying to figure out how to tap into, and you've got to give yourself that space to tap into it. So, love that answer. Yeah. Welcome to the pen name. So yeah, I did want to ask you. So why do you have different pen names? I mean, how did that evolve for you?
Well, Emma Alisyn started out as shifter, a mix of shifter and all kinds of stuff. And then when I really was like, I'm going to write strictly fantasy romance, I just wanted to put it on a different page. It was more of a marketing decision. You know how we want to hone in on a certain niche. So we'll create a pen name, but there's so much overlap between the audiences that I didn't want like a secret pen name. But then after a while, I just realized it looks dumb to have Emma Alisyn Fae on the covers. So I just started putting Emma Alisyn Fae on the covers.
I like that, honestly.
Okay. And Fae is just because that's my creature, man. I mean, I guess if I was a wolf shifter lover, it'd be Emma Alisyn Wolf, but I knew,
Yeah. Joanne says, thank you so much for advice. I feel like I don't take enough breaks when I write. Yeah. I think you can definitely
There's
get
so much pressure to write fast.
Yeah, to write fast, and I think you just get too close to the story too. That's hard to really see it if you're in the story so deep.
Yeah.
But I'm like you too. I dictate the first draft. I call it my zero draft because it is just word vomit. And then I do the layering, and usually my zero draft is mostly dialogue, and then I add in a lot of the other things too. I meant to say that earlier when you said it.
Yeah, it's funny because every time I start a book, I'm like, it's not gonna be good. It's not imposter syndrome. I just feel like I'd worry I'm not going to be able to tap in and get those layers in every single book I write. And then by the end of the first, second, third draft, I'm like, I don't know what you would worry about, girl. I mean.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys have any more questions for the author, you can please still drop them in the chat. We'll answer at any time. We are going to move into the fun and game session. And today's game, it is up to the author, but the author left it up to me. So I chose Would You Rather, which is a fan favorite. So I did try to use some of the themes and stuff incorporated in your book. I realized I forgot to put in their succubus. And I was like, oh man, I should have came up with some questions with succubus in it, but I didn't remember to do that. But here we go. The first one is, and those in the chat, you're welcome to play along and tell us which one you would rather do. So would you rather be whisked away to an enchanted fae realm for a forbidden romance, or find love with a fae disguised as a human in the gas-lamp streets of society?
I don't do humans, so
Gotta be the forbidden romance then.
Yeah, it's gotta be yeah. I'm single for a reason. So
The right Fae hasn't come along yet.
the right Fae has not come along yet. So when he does, you know, of course, I'm not sure what I'll do with my children, but
All right, next one. In a world where ballet is a form of powerful magic, would you rather be a prima ballerina whose performances can alter reality, or a noble patron enchanted by a dancer's performance, uncovering a world of magic and intrigue?
oh God, that's an interesting. Do I want to be the person pulling the strings from behind, or do I want to be the person doing all the work? God, that's difficult. I know myself and I'm lazy. So I think I would have to realistically choose being the noble who's pulling the strings from behind.
Okay.
Like, are you really gonna do like 6 to 8 hours of practice plus weight training? Like, they go through a lot, these dancers. Like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing it. No.
Katie also chooses the ballerina. I would be you. I would be the one pulling the strings. So, but would you rather be abducted by aliens or Fae? I think she would choose Fae.
Hey, yeah. Unless they're alien Fae, because then, solar showers, but
Yeah. All right, next one. Oh, wrong tab. Here we go. Would you rather be kidnapped by a mysterious Fae prince or princess seeking a human consort, leading to an unexpected love story, or by a rival royal in a gas lamp setting, sparking a romance amidst political intrigue?
ooh, let's go for the rival royal.
Yes. Shake it up a bit.
Yeah. In real life, that stuff ain't gonna fly. But if we're talking fantasy,
yes, we're talking fantasy.
Give me all the enemies to lovers, man.
Me too.
Then you don't have to be nice to them.
Yep, that's true.
Be yourself. And if yourself is not all that sweet, then, well, he gets what he gets.
Let's see, check the chat, see if, what if the reason there are no more Fae is because they left and now they're back? It's an interesting question.
Why would they want to come back? God.
Yeah.
Why would you want to come back to this, man?
Unless they have the magic to change things. Right. All right. In a gaslit fantasy world, would you rather form a political alliance through marriage with a Fae royal, bringing magic to your court, or I know which one you're going to choose, or with a human monarch, focusing on technological advancements and social reforms?
Yeah, you already know.
Yeah, I already know. I don't think there's a question on that one anymore.
No humans. Like, because one of the things that fascinates me about immortals is that you hope the older you live, the more wisdom you gain. And, I like nerdy guys. I like, smart guys. So, hey.
Okay. Well, maybe this one might be a little more harder to answer. Would you rather solve a supernatural mystery in the gaslit lamp world streets with a charming Fae detective by your side, or uncover Fae's secrets in a grand Victorian manner with a romantic interest who may not be human?
I think the first one.
The first one? Because of the Fae. Because the other one may not be Fae. He's just not human.
Well, I'm intrigued by the idea of like a murder mystery, though. And then Victorian is not my favorite era. It's not. Gaslamp kind of, but kind of has, threads of that. But Victorian isn't really my favorite era.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, there's a bit sort of kind of a Victorian vibe, I think, to Lord of Dance and Desire, but it's not real strong. It's
it's not
probably maybe just past that point in our like historical record.
Yeah.
So, okay, my cat is like out my door, like yelling up a storm. I don't know if you guys could hear him, but he's yelling. That's Loki. I have 3 cats, but Loki is the one that causes trouble.
I keep forgetting my cat's name.
You keep forgetting it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I named it. I gave it a beautiful name when we first got it, but that's proof of how much your brain gets fried when you're writing. I can't remember what name I gave him.
Just call him Cat.
I know I do.
I did. My first cat that I that I owned. I was in the military still, and I had a mouse in my house, and I just called him Cat because I thought I was going to have to give him up if I, left to go to a different duty station. And nope, that didn't happen. I got to keep him, so we called him Ranch later. But he was smart enough that he went by Cat, Kit Kat, Kitty Cat, Ranch. He went by all of them. So, but yeah, he was Cat for a long time. All hail the feline overlord! Yes.
All right.
All right. Would you rather attend a magical ballet where the lead dancer is secretly a fae casting a spell of love enchantment on the audience, or perform in a ballet that unknowingly summons fae to the theater, entangling you in their world?
Ooh, I think the second.
The second
I
one?
need liqueur though, because I don't have the drive to become a prima. But I think that would be fun.
Yeah. All right. Would you rather be a talented ballet dancer, kidnapped by a fae patron, obsessed with your performances, it's kind of what happens in your book, but leading to a tale of captivity and seduction, or be saved from kidnappers by a mysterious fae benefactor with whom you share a deep magical connection?
Is the kidnapper hot? Who's the kidnapper? I need
more details.
Is he hot? Is he, a morally gray bad guy with a heart of gold? Are we fated mates? I
suppose it depends on the rule structure you make for your fae, because like in my book, my fae, they're all quote unquote beautiful. So in that case, then they would have to be good looking.
Okay, we'll go with one. We'll just assume. We'll just make assumptions.
I think I would go with the second one. Because just the mysteriousness, mysterious fae benefactor, but that deep magical connection, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, in a gas lamp fantasy world, would you rather live as royalty, going undercover as commoners to escape an arranged marriage, finding love with a fae in disguise, or maintain your royal duties and engage in a secret romance with a fae advisor, hidden from the court's prying eyes?
The first scenario is actually kind of what's happening in Lord of Battle and Blossoms right now that I'm writing. So that's interesting. I'm intrigued by the idea of the advisor, though. Oh, you're giving me plot bunnies.
There you go. I used to do shorts on my channel, and I stopped because I was just gotten to doing more sprints and putting shorts. But my shorts used to be writing prompts, and I thought, I should take all these would you rather's I developed and make them into shorts and put them on my channel. But like you said, it's kind of giving you ideas for stories.
I know, right? Like, ooh, mysterious advisor. Okay, I kind of like that one.
Have a few people dropping in. Oh well, I guess I was missing some of these. Kevin, my husband's like the second, but I don't know which one that was on. We'll go with the second one. Dropping by. Hello, Nicole. Thank you for stopping in. Love that question. I don't know. Greek and Norse gods tend to be really pretty rather than wise.
Petty. Yeah. They do.
Oh, petty rather than wise. Sorry, I said pretty. Yeah. But there's a would you rather. Would you rather have entanglement with a god who is pretty but not wise, or with one that's wise but not pretty?
Is this a situationship or a relationship?
Right.
If it's just to have fun, then I'll take the pretty
one.
Talk. But if we're doing something serious, I need brains. Yeah.
Would you ever have a scene where the nervous feet twitching of a dancer sets a magical disaster, or where the practice steps of a dance spell to protect yourself maims an innocent? Ooh.
Well, in Lord of Dance and Desire, something similar to your second kind of happens, because when she dances, she inadvertently can control the audience, and that's one of the things Andrean is helps her discover. So he's useful for some things other than the obvious.
Yeah.
But she kind of inadvertently discovers that a lot of her past relationship issues, because she's been in a lot of toxic relationships with obsessive men, and she's come to realize that wasn't all them. It was her inadvertently, and which was hard to write because you don't want to get into victim blaming. But I'm like, so much stuff is moral, right? That's what it is.
Yeah. And Rachel says, imagine dancing is how magic is done. So the villain's whole ploy is to cut off toes and therefore hoard magic for themselves.
Oh my God, that's dark. I love it.
Yes. Plot bunnies.
No.
I think.
God, you could create a whole series based around that idea. Like,
yeah, cutting off toes, hoarding magic.
If you're a dancer, you have to keep it secret so you're not like hunted down and maimed or. Oh my gosh.
And there could be like a whole underground movement where everyone can go dance. Was that Footloose?
Oh my God, and your underground studio or whatever is raided one day by the Fae, and then that's how you meet your buddies.
Yep. Trying to see if I can find one that doesn't have that I put Victoria in a few of these, but because I kind of got that vibe just a bit, but I know you said it's not really what.
And Stephen King, I'm not big on doing a lot of setting description and whatever, because I'm of the Stephen King frame of mind where let the readers draw the conclusions they will. So it's interesting that you picked up Victorian. That was not intended, but I mean, if that's how the story felt, I mean.
And it could be just my reader experience as well, because to be honest, this is the first gas lamp story book that I picked up and ever read. And I was interested when I first heard of it, and I thought of just the subgenre in fantasy romance. And I was like, oh, I want to read one. And that's how I picked up your book, because it was a gas lamp. So I was like, I want to know what this is. What is this? What is this? You know? Yeah. And Rachel's like, you're welcome.
I'm actually kind of mad at myself that I didn't think about that, because I'm like, I could really darken some things up there in that book.
Well, heck, I mean, you may write a fourth book in this series, a fifth book, could always come later. Maybe there's something that happens in the court.
Just about that whole theater of dance. Yeah.
Now, what if the evil Fae put a coin in the toe of the shoes that draws the magic out to another coin, but makes the toes bleed while compelling the dancer to overdo? It's interesting. No, Loki.
The technology is doing the technical stuff again. Okay, I think you're back.
Okay. Yeah, from my side, it was a bit, it's kind of stalled out a little bit. Yes, it's all right. It happens. We're used to it here. So, wait, no, darker. Uh-oh, I think we're losing the author. We'll give it a second, see if she comes back on. No, Loki. Oh my gosh, she's just yelling up a storm. So darker dancing equals magic, so the practice of foot binding. Ooh, I like that idea too. So instead of cutting off toes, and it could be like different. Oh, hold on, let me take this off. Yeah, so that it's like different people could react to dancing and magic in different ways. Some could cut off the toes, some could do the foot binding. Let me see if I can reach the author through. See if I can reach Emma on Instagram. And let me check my Gmail just in case and let her know that she can come back on if she is able to make it back on. Loki, no. I'm contacting the author. Okay, I sent a note off. I did that through Instagram. I should probably do it through email too, just in case if she's there instead. Well, I pasted it into my email and it did it as a text message. Okay. Well, let's go chat with you guys and see what's going on. Yes. Oh no, Loki. Yes, he is not giving up. Should I just let him in? Maybe I should just let him in. Hold on. Let me just go get him. He is not giving up. Still just meowing away. Okay, come on. And Thor. Oh, pain in the butt. Yes, pain in the butt. Okay. There is Chaos Creator. He doesn't like being held. His brother don't care so much, but he doesn't like it. Okay. Yeah, I hate that we lost her too. It's yeah. Technology is tech. Oh, you can come back in if you're able to get him. If not, no worries. Lord Loki says, "Open the door, human." Yes. Don't knock that over, buddy. And there is Thor, his brother, who was not making any noise. He was just sitting calmly next to his brother, like, "Yep, he's doing all the talking." Like a twist to Swan Lake or Dancing Maiden's Tales. Oh, yeah. Wasn't there? I think there was a fairy tale like that. Cat Can. Handsome boy, yes. Well, do you guys want me to do some more Would You Rathers? And we can just do that. I want to try and give her a few more minutes to possibly come back in, if possible. Oh. Okay. What? Now Thor just sitting here quietly. Go for it. Okay. All right. In a gas lamp fantasy realm, would you rather uncover a secret that you are of Fae lineage, thus throwing the human royal court into turmoil, or find out that the monarchy is protected by an ancient Fae pact? Sorry, he's playing with my pencil over here. Or find out that the monarchy is protected by an ancient Fae pact with you as a key to its renewal. I think I would go with the first one, that I'm of Fae lineage, because then you have magic, right? Because the other way, you're protected as you're protected by an ancient Fae pact, so you're protected by magic, but you don't have magic. I think I'd want magic. Yeah, my pretty kitties. This is the lover. Thor's a lover. He loves everybody. Yeah. Ah, she's back.
Oh, I think, you know, I heard there were outages last Friday. I just saw my phone. I'm wondering if some of that's finally hitting my side of the country, but it's ironic. The internet only goes down when you're on a live. Any other time, it's
That's fine. I thought this was interesting. If you're deciding to go with the whole idea of magic and toes and feet, but the practice of foot binding could also take away dancing. And I was like, ooh, that is an interesting possibility. So, well, I don't know if you want to continue. We could go ahead and head into our writing sprint, but there were a couple questions, or at least one. Tips for writing a memorable, impactful kiss scene.
Think about the emotions and the conflict in the scene versus the technicality of it. Think about why this kiss means something. Like, I don't have my characters kiss or do anything unless there's a reason. That sounds so pretentious. Unless there's a reason.
No, but I understand.
Yeah. Just what's the reason behind it, the feeling behind it? Like, how is it going to progress the plot? Or if you want to get technical.
I think that is a really, really good advice, because I just started doing fantasy romance. My fantasy trilogy has romance in it, but it's very light and it's not all HEA. So I just started, about a year and a half ago, starting writing. Was it a year and a half ago? It was 2 Junes ago when I wrote my first book, when I wrote the first draft of my first book. But yeah, so when I first went into thinking about, okay, kissing, and I wasn't sure at the time when I first started, I was like, do I want steamy, spicy? Do I want to keep this sweet? What do I want to do? And I was kind of just playing around with all of it. And you can get hung up, I think, on the technical parts of it instead of, but that's not the reason why people kiss. And yeah. So I think it's good advice. Sure.
I'm not naturally a steamy author, which if anybody reads Michelle Segarra West, that's about my natural steam level. I have to go back in the layers and bump things up
to make it spicier.
Yeah.
I think I've kind of come to where I feel comfortable, but I did start my debut into fantasy romance. It doesn't really, the plot actually doesn't allow for them to do much else because of what there's a curse on the main character, the main male character. So he can't do much else until certain things happen in the curse to try and break it. So plot didn't allow for it. And but I had a few of my friends and some of my beta readers and alpha readers are like, you kind of set things up. We want something. So I was like, maybe I'll do like a bonus chapter where they do something. So I did put that together and I found, I like this. I don't mind doing this. So yeah, I think I found my comfort level in there.
And I wouldn't know it's hard to know how to label it, because if you inadvertently, like the first book in one of my series, there's no kissing or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But it's not intended to be sweet, clean, or they just didn't have time. It didn't make sense because it was enemies to lovers arc. They're not going to be kissing right now. So it's weird. Like, how do you market from other point of view? How do you market a series that's low heat, but it's not intended to be like for the sweet, clean reader? Yeah, because all the bloods and guts and consent issues.
Right. I mean, I thought about that because, like I said, I had the plot for my first book where there's kissing and some, hand stuff, but just on the body, just not touching really anything, but just the movement of the hand, kind of building up that sensuality. And that's kind of where it ends. Now, at the end of that book, I said, and I put in the author's note, like, I have never written a spicy scene before, but the readers call for it. So I tried it out. So if you want it, here it is. You can go get it. But the second book, it's a curse, and it's going to be a series. It's 4 brothers, but the first 3 books are all non-linear. So they're all happening at the same time and they overlap with each other's storylines. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was right. It's like writing 3 books at one time.
Yeah.
So, but the other 2 storylines are not set up the same way. Like they meet the parameters of the curse before the end of the book. So things are happening and moving more faster, more rapidly. Not more faster. We're writers here. But
grammar and punctuation if you're paying me for it.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so I've also thought about that marketing because I've had like one of my reviewers said how my book is a sweet, clean fantasy romance. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not gonna be the whole series. So, but it's my involvement as, how I have evolved as a writer in writing in the fantasy romance genre. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet.
Yeah.
Marketing. Would you ever have a character with a more powerful form of dance use it to control her, like a tango or paso? I don't know how you say that. Or controlled precise dance like a Viennese waltz?
I don't see why not. That's an interesting idea. I would like to do more. I have this thing about healers right now, but I would like to do more characters where it's centered around dance, because that's one of my personal fantasies, that I'm a wonderful dancer just without all the work.
Yes. I'm too much of a klutz to be a dancer. I did try belly dancing and I sprained my ankle. So,
gosh.
Actually, I pitched the idea of wild swans plus swan princess, where a cruel sorcerer king is after a princess's hand, so her 5 sisters try to hide her. So all 6 are cursed to be birds during the day and human only under moonlight. And rather than a romance, it's their brother who desperately wants to find them and reunite his family and prevent a war. You said you pitched where did you pitch the idea? Was that earlier?
That.
Yeah. I love this idea.
That might be YA.
Yeah. This sounds like, is it the Swan Princess where she's saving her brothers? It's one princess and brothers were all swans. I think that's the story. So this is just kind of a reverse.
For some reason, I'm thinking of all the dancing princesses with their slippers worn out, plus Swan Princess. So all those fairy tales are kind of mushed in my mind.
Well, I'm my second book in the series that I'm writing now. It's the first one's loosely based off of loosely inspired by Beauty and the Beast. The second one's loosely inspired by The Little Mermaid. And the original story, when the sea witch makes her human, whenever she walks, it's like she's walking on knives, the tips of knives.
Ooh.
And but she finds out that she loves to dance, and she dances and dances no matter how much it feels like the knives are cutting into her feet. And so I included that in my story. So
Gosh, yeah, that's dark.
yes, very dark. Well, I still remember because I read that when I was like 9 or 10, and then Disney came out with their show, like their movie, The Little Mermaid, a few years later, and I was like, "Why? She dies at the end. Why would they do that?" So, of course, she doesn't die in the movie.
Revisions, yeah.
I didn't understand corporate America and capitalism then, that they would not have the princess die at the end.
Nah, it's gotta be a HEA man.
Yeah, sounds amazing. I think it sounds amazing too. So she pitched it to her critique partner. The Wild Swans is one princess and seven brothers who become swans. Okay. I actually just finished Six Crimson Cranes, which is retelling Wild Swans. I think I've read that too. The romance was so cute.
I've heard of that. I might go put that on my TBR. Let me write that down. I've heard
Six
that.
Crimson Cranes. All righty. Did you get it down?
I did.
Okay.
I'm surprised there's not more romance centered around like the whole Black Swan thing. You'd think there would be, but we're also obsessed with Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I went out of my way to be like, okay, I'm doing a Beauty and Beast retelling. It's just when I was writing the ideas, because I do a lot of just brainstorming, what if I do this? What if I do that? If this happens, this can happen or that can happen. So I do a lot of what if exercises, and it just kept matching more of the Beauty and Beast storylines and the story plots. And I was like, okay, why don't I just go, because this is marketing. This is a way to market it,
Oh,
So
yeah.
I leaned into it because my second book is more of a Little Mermaid retelling, but my third book is no fairy tale retelling. So it's not like I'm trying to market the whole thing as fairy tale retellings. It's just that's just what happened with it. So
I think those stories are just so ingrained in us that they just come out a lot of times.
yeah, I believe that. It's a library. Admit it. We're all in love with the library. Yeah, Beauty and the Beast,
Right?
maybe. So, all right. Well, we're going to head into the 30-minute writing sprint. This was another one I leave up to the author, but the author left it to me. So I thought maybe we could do a random one. What it is, I just put together a bunch of fantasy romance prompts, and you can just give me a number 1 through 17 is what I have left. Or I can pick a number if you want.
9.
9. Okay. Let me get this copied over. Oh, I don't know. I don't think this kind of fits us, but it's okay. I'm going to put the prompt up there. You guys, the prompt is there if you would like to have a prompt to work with, but you can work on whatever you want to. And even, as I say in all my writing sprints, if you can come for reading, you can come for house chores or whatever it is that you want to work on. It's 30 minutes of dedicated time to some task, which is really great for me to focus on something. So. And here it is. In a city suspended in the clouds, a winged angelic being and a talented inventor from the surface world form an unlikely connection.
I actually have a series kind of like that. Okay.
Really?
Let's
Oh,
roll. Let's roll with that. Okay.
Okay. All right. And we'll get started in 3, 2, 1, and go. And that is time. How did everyone do? Let me put this back up here in case if anybody used this prompt. How did you do?
Well, I'm a naughty girl and I have a pre-order that's supposed to be out like any day now. So I was working on one of the scenes.
Oh, makes sense. I was rethinking a scene I wrote yesterday, so I went back to that and added more to it, what I was wanting to do. So yeah, I did the same thing. We did have Martin come in. Hello. And Rachel says, I kind of went on my way to make Beauty and the Beast as a spite right because I couldn't find a model retelling that I liked. Yeah, her debut was also retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but more of an has more of an Asian style influence on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and it was a Kickstarter, so that was kind of cool. I got to support her on that and get her book, but I haven't got it yet because she's sending them out now. So,
yeah. I would like to read that. That's the pen name R.A. Morley?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Only I come to an author chat and start collecting book recs.
I've done it all month when I've asked, the authors, like, who is your favorite fantasy author or fantasy romance author? I'm finding so many that I didn't know existed. So yeah, doing the same thing all month. So
as if my TBR isn't already like 350 books deep.
Yes, exactly. Well, and this month I wanted to make sure I touched every author's book, at least if, I'd try to get at least, a third of the way through if I could, not halfway if I could. Yours I had already read, and one other author's I had already read. So those were good. I already had read through those. And then I also, so that's 20, I had 22 authors coming on the channel. 2 are done. So it's 20 of them that I picked up to kind of read through. And then I also joined my friend. She does a Black Author Tuber readathon every February. So I wanted to support that. And I picked like 5 books from there. Of course, 2 of them were crossover with Charm Chats. So it was good for me to be able to do that. But there's 3 other books I had to, read through for the readathon. And yeah, so it was a lot of books this month. But, Mom Maggie says, eavesdropped on another stream and folded clothes. I actually did eavesdrop as well. If you guys didn't know, for Barrett Laurie is live right now. He was a member of the AuthorTuber community. He's kind of stepped back to more concentrate on his health, but he's still doing live streams around his health and stuff. So I was eavesdropping over there as well. I got 0 things worked on. Made tea, ate some fruit, chicken, my sparrow. Okay.
You never know what's being worked on in the back of your mind, though.
Yep. All that subconscious stuff, right?
Yeah.
And sing his wild friends, to sing with his wild friends. Also talked in another chat about creating a special omnibus hardcover edition with stamped text blocks for Ghosts with Trilogy. Yeah. Oh, that would be really cool. I just got, did I have it here? Where's it go? I don't know what I did with it.
I always thought if I do a special edition for my phase, we would do all the stamping and stuff like that, but that's for like 2025.
Sorry, I had to get this book. This was a Kickstarter. She was an author. It was supposed to come on this month, but she had the wrong time period and showed up an hour late. But I loved how it's got like this silver and stuff on here.
That's lovely.
Even on the side. And I was like, oh, that's so pretty. So if I did an omnibus, that's probably something I'd want to do, is to do that.
Oh, that would be gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry.
I shall not be ignored any longer.
Yeah. He's the one who's like, feed me. Because they know I have treats right up here on top of my computer tower. Yeah, I thought it was really pretty. I was like sad that I missed her not coming on. But and then I had to author yesterday that her husband got her a Valentine's gift to go to a show, a ticket. So she had tickets to go to a show, so she couldn't make it. And I was like, well, we can always circle back and do one-offs in like later months. So hopefully I'll be able to bring them on at some other point. But all right. Well, we are going to get, I had a course in college where we stamped textiles and paper. So I think I could, that would be so awesome. Didn't Jenna Penn, she made book covers for her books, I think. She like went through and did them herself and went through a class and then made like certain book covers. I think that would be really interesting.
Some of the videos, they have like really fancy equipment, but I was looking a couple weeks ago. I'm like, can't I just get some stencils and hand do it? But activator be activate and then wanders off.
Yeah, I guess somewhere else. Well, we're going to start to wrap up the chat. If you guys have any last minute questions, you're welcome to drop them in there. We'll continue to check in and have Emma answer some of them. But before we do wrap up the chat, can you tell us, Emma, a little bit about what you're working on next and when it might come out?
I have Orc Lord, the 3rd book in my Orc series that'll be out any day now. As soon as I could get some final things done. And then next will be Lord of Battle and Blossoms.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at the Orc Lord because I got the newsletter yesterday, actually. But you had it in a previous newsletter too. And I was like, I want to start the whole series. I couldn't this month. I have way too many books to do this month. But yeah, that's where I'm heading next after I get through this month here. But click the right button. So I did put in Emma's newsletter if you want to sign up. It's always good. And I love the newsletter. I love getting it and seeing what you're doing with your life and all the authoring stuff. So, and I don't see any other questions. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to end the show. Before we do, can you please tell everyone where they can find you and purchase your books?
EmmaAlisyn.com, EmmaAlisyn. Yeah, funny spelling. And then I'm on Instagram, Facebook, usuals, not TikTok.
Really? Not on TikTok?
I can't.
I did try it. I tried it when I was doing it, my debut into fantasy romance. When I was doing that, the Kickstarter, I did some TikToks, but that's all I've done. I haven't done anything since then.
Yeah, me too. I did a few and I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
I don't know how they say the way you get discovered on there is that you really have to consume TikToks, and you have to consume the TikToks for the audience that you want to consume your TikToks. And I'm just like, I don't spend that much time on social media to do all that.
I've got to write, man. I got shit to do. Like,
yeah, right?
Like, nah, man.
And there is a link to Emma's books on Amazon and the Instagram and Rachel's heart. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to come on the show. I was super excited.
Super fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone in the chat who joined us today. Next on Charm Chats and Happily Ever After Sprints, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, guest author Kristen Artist will be on the show. And that will wrap us up. We'll do the outro. I'm putting the outro on, Emma, and then we'll be backstage. We won't be live at that point if you want to just hang out for a minute. Hit the right button. All right. That'll be it. All right. Bye, everyone.